And of course, modification. That's the other thing, very important. What do you understand from modification?
I understand that someone who is a beginner, maybe, or someone who has certain body dysfunctions, let's say, or is unable to do certain postures, should not go straight away to the full posture, but can start from easier versions of it, or less demanding versions of it, and slowly progress and build the full posture.
Very good. Exactly, exactly. Absolutely. So basically, modification can come at the beginning, of course, as a practice, just to add. Also, it can be further in the yoga practice journey. Why is that? Because we have like different experiences in our life and different periods, and sometimes we are feeling more of we can do the fully the postures, the asanas, but sometimes it's like maybe body, mentally or physically, we not mm, in that place to do full posture. This could be very simple basic postures, but also could be the advanced postures. In this case, it's the very important thing to start with the modifications and develop from that there to come to learn more about your body. But it is also very important that in your journey, when you call yourself, I'm, experienced, or I am um, kind of advanced level of practitioner, then even then it could be good to always keep in mind to apply modification when feels necessary. And of course, with the teaching, usually when you teach, you can see that very flexible bodies can actually seem to just jump into the pose, but it's actually not very good idea. Always needs to go with the setting up the posture with the foundation, correct alignment, and then going into that. And coming out also needs to be cared for. In this case, then that's yoga practice fully, if that makes sense. And the modification, if needed for this person, usually it is you can see that some students may not feel very happy to be adjusted or putting back to the modified pose, but actually for their body maybe that's the best. It's of course good to, it feels good to do it in a way that it makes you feel good, I mean. But on the other hand, that may not be the exactly the right thing for the body or even mentally, if that makes sense. So it's actually a little bit of the training of the mind as well. Okay, I'm very flexible, I can do this, but do I have to? Maybe I need to do this modified uh, pose instead to understand more, deepen more in the posture. Because usually, when the flexibility is there in the body, then it's like you miss so many steps to understand how the journey going into this pose.
Mm.
And of course, then coming to the teacher role, then how much you can offer, because it's important to know all the steps of that pose on the way to the full pose, going to the full pose. So as a teacher, to be able to understand each individual's um, body and their state of practice, it's important to know the steps, and in this case it's important to actually basically use the modified options even in our own practice, even if we are advanced. I don't know if
So
that
what I understood from my experience is that when you have flexible joints and you try and to go fully in a pose, you lose from strength. Like, for example, an easier version of a pose can build you the strength, not just the flexibility, because you might be, as you said, by default flexible, but that doesn't always mean that you are strong. And in order to do some asanas, you need to be both, like strength in order to support your joints and flexibility in order to do the whole session. But that's what I've realized, that when you go fully into a pose while being naturally flexible, you lose certain parts from the strength aspect. I feel.
True. Yeah, exactly. That the sense of strength, possibly that what you mean.
And
yeah?
also maybe ego-wise, you're happier like when you achieve a pose, but then in the
course.
end, you haven't actually built the mental strength that requires that. I built this step by step. That gives you the full fulfillment.
What we need to do then remind ourselves that am I doing the practice for my ego or for my whole wellness, let's say. So in this case, of course, it's not easy for the person to step back, for some people, but actually it is also the practice of yoga, like step back and be there. How does that feel?
And that's actually something you're mentioning in your paper. It says like yoga is a practice mostly for the mind and not just for the body, because you can push your body a lot and do something, but then you can harm yourself, and you can, in the end of the day, you don't reach the goal, the mental goal.
Yeah, of course. Of course, it's not only the mind, but it's like mind, body, our energy body and whole thing together that we want to um, have the balance and harmony, So in this case, it's important to understand these parts of course, we can feel very excited when we practice.
I'm really sorry.
That's good.
It's a holy cow.
Yeah, very good.
I'm really sorry. My dad.
Amazing. Well, holy cow, after all. Yeah. And also, I want to say it's not only the flexibility that some people practice easily, but also the strength. Some people are strong, very strong, but when it comes to the practice yoga and the asanas, it actually may not feel very easy for them. I mean, in my teaching experience, that I heard so many times that strong people that can't believe how tiring, which seems so easy from outside when watching, but when practicing, how interesting that how they sweat and how much effort needs to be there,
Yeah. It's also mental practice. That's why, like, going to the gym and doing this is mostly physical practice, but yoga is also mental practice. It's like you being there fully aware and achieving this.
Yes,
So
very true.